Peace everyone, Unmasked Art here, and welcome to day 21 of Inktober. That's right, we're moving right in through our 20s. We're now old enough to drink alcohol. And I have some cider with me today, so things might get a little interesting on today's stream. Anyway, today's prompt is drain, and I don't know if you can see my very light graphite sketch here. But I decided to go the vampire route, you know, kind of getting in the mood for Halloween, even though Halloween's not really celebrated here in Poland. So I was going to do a character, but I just wasn't feeling it. So I decided to go with just a kind of a sexy vampire mouth with the fangs coming down. I thought that would be kind of cool, like blood red lips. So I'm going to try something a little difficult with the markers, and yeah, before I get into it, let me share your fantastic drawings that you posted for yesterday's prompt. Yesterday's prompt was breakable, and as expected, you guys definitely delivered some super unique drawings and ideas for the prompt. I love it. Keep the ideas flowing. You guys are doing fantastic. So many inspiring pieces, and so many pieces in general. I can't get over. Last year, you know, I was probably sharing like, I don't know, less than 10 of the prompts, or less than 10 drawings every single day for Inktober, because I didn't have that many people submitting pictures. But this time around, so many pictures, I can't even talk about each of them. Last year, I think I, kind of went through all of them together and talked about what I liked about it and stuff. But this year, there's just so many that it would take the whole stream. So keep up the good work, everyone. We are going to get through Inktober together, and yeah, oh, I like that egg one with the globe. That one was really cool. I like that idea a lot. Anyways, let me say hello to everyone in the chat while those pictures are going. Hello, Eric, Joe, Danny, Craig, Diane, Silver, Brenda, Danielle, Yannick, Sneaks, Photo 112, Pumpkin Spice, Jelena, Christy, and Hildy. So glad you all made it. Yes, I do often start my streams a little bit early. I'm glad you're ready this time. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming by and hanging out. So let's go ahead and have some fun. I'm going to start here. Got my markers organized. I'm going to start with this pinkish red here. If you guys have any questions or anything really, topics, feel free to let me know, and I will get to the questions. And we can have a topic day. If you guys have anything you want to talk about, you just let me know in the chat, and we'll talk about it. Don't know how else to put it. Hopefully you all had a good weekend. If you're in the United States, you still have a good portion of Sunday left. But here in Poland, my Sunday is winding down. What better way to wind down my Sunday than sit here, hang out with all of you lovely people, and do a bit of creating. I can't think of a better way to spend my Sunday. I got markers all over my desk right now. These marker drawings that I do, that I try to get them realistic looking. They are definitely difficult, which is partially why I decided to just keep the mouth rather small on my paper, because I want to get them as realistic looking as I can with markers, which is generally not very easy, so I kept them rather small. And I'm just going to start with this color here. Oh, you did a vampire. Oh, that's cool. I can't wait to see it. Don't forget to post your Inktober pieces in the Unmasked Family Facebook group. If you're not already a member, I have the link for that in the description. And if you do, I will share your work on tomorrow's stream. My wife, she is feeling a little bit better. She's just relaxing in bed, chilling out while I'm streaming here. But she seems to be feeling better. Hello, Dark Huntress. Thank you for joining the live stream. Am I sending my pictures to the wrong place for you to show? Well, you shouldn't send me personally pictures. So if you go to the unmask, that's a good question. I can address your question and hopefully answer anybody else's question regarding the pictures. So if you're in the Unmasked Family Facebook group, which Brenda, I know that you are, at the top you'll notice that there is a thread pinned, which is a link to my Inktober stream, and I post a new thread every day for each prompt, and you have to comment your Inktober piece on that thread. Otherwise, I won't see it. I'm not collecting Inktober pieces that are emailed to me or messaged to me on Facebook or just randomly posted in the Facebook group. You don't want to create a new post. You want to comment on my post, because I need all of the submissions in one place, because I get too many of them to, go check my email and go check my messages and go check Twitter and go check Instagram and check all these social media places. So I have to be a bit strict there, and so I'm only collecting them that are posted on the thread. So if I happen to have missed yours, I apologize. It's not my intention by any means. I just have to I can only collect them from one spot, because it's just too much work. It's just too much work. Inktober itself is a bit too much for me, so hopefully that's not too inconvenient for anyone to submit their work that way that I described. Oh, hello, Christine. Do you have enough ventilation while using the markers, or are they odorless? I've never used these markers long enough, even in my very confined flat. I don't have, the flat does have ventilation built into it. It's fairly good, I suppose. I've never had any issues. I don't smell these markers all that much. They do have a subtle scent to them. It's actually kind of pleasant, to be honest with you. It doesn't have that stinky, like, permanent marker smell. But the smell has never bothered me, and I've never gotten a headache from it. So ventilation has never been much of a concern for me working with these markers. Although I have read in the past that some people don't like the smell of them and whatnot. I don't know. They work fine for me. They don't smell too bad, in my opinion. But you can't buy these markers anyway, so you probably don't have much to worry about. These markers are not available. I get asked every time I'm using them so far. I'm always asked what kind of markers they are. They're Pantone Tria markers made by Letraset, which was bought out by Pro Marker, I think. Pretty sure it was Pro Marker. And they still make Tria markers, but it's not the same ink, so they're different. They're different markers, completely different. They don't even look the same. Did I miss another question? I thought I missed another question. How long does it usually take you to draw a base for a character. Okay, so a base, what I think a base is, and you can correct me if you have something different idea for a base, but when I think of a base of a character, it only includes the facial structure and the pose. It does not include hair, and it does not include clothes. So for that, I would say the base takes me maybe 10 minutes. If it's a complicated pose, then, you know, maybe 20 or something along those lines. On a good day. On a good day, it takes about that long. 479. I'm looking for another color here. Got it here somewhere. Let's see. Oh, hello, Tatiana. Good to see you in the chat today. Going back to the markers on the Scorched stream, the Copic markers come in A, B, C, and D groups with different colors in each group. Does anyone know which is the best one? Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I haven't really looked into it much. You might just want to. You might want to look at what set of the gray tone markers, because I don't think that all the sets come with the black gray, like cool and warm gray. I would make sure that whatever set you go for, you get the ones that have the cool and warm gray sets in it, and then the other colors, you know, will just be random or something along those lines. I don't know exactly how the sets go, so can't quite help you out too much there. But I would say that the most important colors to have, ironically, are probably a good gray set. Or what you could do is just find the set that doesn't have any of the grays, because they do sell like the pack of like 12, I think, of warm grays, and then like pack of 12 of cool grays. So you could get those separately. I think they're like, I don't know, I think like 20. No, they're more than 20. I think they're like $40 or something for a small set of just the gray tones. If you do it that way, you might end up getting more colors, and then you can just add the gray tones to your collection. That might be a good option there. What am I drawing? Goodness, how much of the chat did I miss? I had to scroll down. I am drawing lips. I'm drawing vampire lips because today's prompt is Drain. And I was going to do a character, I just kind of ran out of time, and I don't know, I didn't want to force it. You know, that's one thing that I always try not to do. I mean, what I mean by not forcing it is like there's times where like I don't feel like drawing at all. Sometimes that's during Inktober, but I try to work through the lack of inspiration and not wanting to do it. It's more like laziness for me anyway. But in the case of like the subject matter, if I'm just not really feeling the subject, then it's best for me to not force myself to do the subject. So instead, I went with just vampire mouth. I was going to do a vampire character, but my brain was not working too well today. I went earlier this morning. 265. I went earlier this morning to play Magic at my local game store, and yeah, it didn't go too well. I am so unlucky sometimes when I play, and it was just bad. So I didn't have the greatest time. I was in a slightly bad mood after I got home. So I was like, I just didn't feel like it, you know. I never try to force myself too much to create, because it's kind of like it's the same idea of listening to music you like during an activity you don't like to do. A lot of the songs that I used to listen to growing up, they're nostalgic. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, but they're nostalgic because what I was doing when I was listening to them, I was really enjoying. Like, I was having a lot of fun. It's kind of weird, but the System of a Down album that is called Steal This Album, and it looks like a burnt CD. Well, the CD looks like it was a burnt CD. If anybody remembers what burning CDs is anymore, nobody uses CDs. But I was playing Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube while I was jamming out to that CD when it came out. And so every time I come across one of those songs from that record, I think back of playing the Super Mario Sunshine on the GameCube. And it was just a fun time. I was hanging out with my sisters, my friend Travis, and we just playing that game. And now that music just puts me in a good mood for that reason, because I think about those times. And so if you listen to music that you like, but you're like, I don't know, doing something you hate doing, I just feel like that makes the music not be good nostalgic music. Although sometimes it's hard to listen to music you hate when you're doing something you hate, so probably don't do that either. Look into Copic Chow. They have similar barrels, but the tips are exactly the same, and ink is the same. Are you talking about these markers here? Like, Copic Chows are like these markers? I can assure you the tips are not the same. That's one thing. There's no marker like this. There is no marker like this, because no marker comes with 3 tips. Like, that's why I love these markers, and I don't want to give them up. What? Why are you creeping on me? My wife is in bed creeping on me, everyone. Tell her to stop. I don't like it. Oh, I barely started. No worries. Come in a little late. It's fine. It's fine. You're here now. You're here now. That's all that matters. I am doing a sink drain. You know, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about, like, when yesterday, after I'd finished streaming yesterday, I think somebody brought up the idea of doing a sink drain or something like that during the live stream, and I was considering it, and it didn't last long. My consideration for it didn't last long. I was like, I can't do a sink drain for a live stream. I have to do something a little bit different than that. I had to come up with a better idea for the stream. I just not that it's a bad idea. It's just that I don't think anybody wants to watch me draw, 16 black circles and be like, this is a drain. What is Lightfast? Okay, so that's a good question. That's a really good basic art question. Let me get a drink first. So light fastness refers to the longevity of the ink or the paint or the pencil. It's referring to the pigment used in whatever medium. So it's not specific to just markers or anything like that. It refers to acrylic paint, oil paint, colored pencils, markers, crayons, I guess. And it refers to their ability to hold their color over a certain period of time. So like if you have really low light fastness, it means that the color is going to fade very quickly, like in a month or a year or something like that. And then as you increase your light fastness, it refers to that length of time extending. So good light fastness would be like 100 years or 200 years or something. That would be excellent light fastness. The unfortunate thing is, you know, there's no true permanent to light fastness. Nothing lasts forever. So you can only do your best to preserve your work. Some artists concern themselves quite a bit with light fastness. I am not one of those artists because I don't think that the work that I'm creating is ever going to survive or be worth anything. So I really just don't care. Even if it only lasts 10 years, that's probably longer than it needs to last in my case. I don't think any of my work is ever going to be famous. So I'll let the art preservists worry about that if it ever happens. If something as if something were to ever happen in the case of my artwork and it get to some degree of I don't know, famousness, prolificness, then I'll let the conservators concern themselves with the fact that I didn't use light fast materials. Otherwise, I just don't care. It just it's just something I've never concerned myself much with. You predict this live stream will be short. Well, if you think so, I'm gonna say right now you're probably wrong. I don't think today's live stream is going to be short because this is not going to be an easy drawing. I'm trying to make this these lips as realistic as possible with markers, and I don't know how much experience you have with markers and realism, but the two don't really go together all that well. There's a limitation, and markers are tough. They're tough to get to look realistic in any serious way, and so I don't think it's going to go quickly. I mean, I'm not rushing it, so I think it will be a relatively lengthy stream. I want them to look really good. For no other reason than I want them to look good. And besides, okay, I might be drinking my cider too fast. I'll just slow down on my cider a little bit, and I think the stream will follow suit. I like that you set a challenge for yourself like that on a video. Yeah, well, I like to challenge myself. That is definitely something I enjoy doing. If I didn't constantly challenge myself with what I'm creating, then I think that I'd probably start getting bored faster with my artwork and just creating in general. So I'm always constantly like trying to push myself to get to the next level in everything, and my art is yeah, there's no exception when it comes to my artwork. I always try to give myself an extra bit of challenge, just for the sake of not getting stagnant. You know, I want to continue to progress. There's a ton of room for improvement with my artwork. I will be progressing for a very long time. And if you're feeling stagnant in your work, you're feeling a lack of progression, then the best advice I have for you is to just draw something that you've never drawn. I am constantly in a state of like drawing things I've never done. And I make it harder on myself by doing that and making a tutorial of it. Doing my live tutorials over on Patreon. And 99% of everything that I do on Patreon is the first time I've done it. So I'm constantly challenging myself. And doing the live streams and what's the word I'm looking for? Doing the live streams on Patreon and trying to teach what I'm doing and explain what it is that I'm doing, the thought process that goes into my work. It helps me kind of evaluate what it is that I'm doing, the techniques that I'm using, and as I verbalize what it is I'm doing, I also try to work ahead of myself and express what my plans are, what my intention is, and why I'm choosing the path that I am doing. And when all is done, and I look at my finished artwork, I can then evaluate whether or not my strategy was useful in the way that I did it. So if it didn't turn out as ideal as I'd hoped, then I can take what I did and reevaluate and then come up with a new strategy, and then I can start utilizing a new strategy to determine whether or not I need to make any more changes. It's kind of how I go about it. I'm constantly evolving. Trying to keep things interesting, not only for you guys but also for myself, because if I get bored, we're gonna have a problem. So I have to keep it interesting. Keep forcing myself something different. Why am I drawing lips? So I'm not drawing just lips. I'm drawing a mouth, and I'm drawing the mouth of a vampire because today's prompt is drain, and when I thought of drain, I thought of a vampire, like, you know, draining blood from its victim. And originally I was going to do a character. I was gonna draw like an anime type character, like I had done before, as a vampire, obviously. But I wasn't quite feeling it. I wasn't in the right mental state to come up with a good character. So I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna do lips, mouth, with some fangs, kind of blood red lips. And that's what I decided to do. And thus, here we are, and there you are asking why. Alright, let's continue working on this bottom lip, shall we? Try to blend out that edge on the black there. As of last night, the older set of Tria markers, 77, are still on eBay. Shipping from Poland? What? I might end up buying those. I'm gonna have to place a bid on them. 77 of them. You know, I got a whole set of 150 of these markers. 150 of these markers. And I spent about $1 or less than per marker, which is ridiculously cheap, especially considering these markers work so well. Oh, did I put a protective? Okay, good. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't bleeding through the paper, and if I am bleeding through the paper, I want to have a protective sheet of paper underneath. But yeah, if you can find these markers, I can assure you that they work amazing. I love these markers. Oh, not Poland, Portugal. Oh, well, either way, if they'll ship to Poland, I'll get them. Amazing how just a white highlight really brings a subject to life. Or death, in this case. Yeah. I still have a little bit of work to do with the highlights, but I imagine on camera these lips probably... This bottom lip is probably starting to come to life quite a bit. Once I smooth out some of these transitions here, I think the lips will start to look really, really nice. The bid for them starts at 100 with 20 shipping. Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, I'd probably just buy them now for 150. I mean, 77 markers. Think about it. That's half the price of 72 Copic markers, and these markers work. These markers work just as good, if not better, than Copic markers. Because I've used Copic markers, and I can assure you these work just as well, if not better. I don't have them anymore. They're back in the States, but I bought the set of gray tone, I think warm gray tone Copic markers, and I tested them. I think you get 12. Maybe it's just 10. I don't know if it's 10 or 12 for the set, but I have 12. I have 12 warm gray and 10 or 12 cool gray here, and then black at the end. And these markers, I did like a test, a comparison test. I actually have an old video comparing them, so you could actually go back to the video where I do a review of these exact markers here, and I compare them slightly to the Copics that I had, and I show you side by side just how well these ones blend, because these markers blend fantastic, as you can probably tell from this lip here. Flex markers, I haven't heard of those ones. I haven't done much sharp marker shopping in recent years. I'll have to start looking into some markers again, because I want to buy some. I want to get some more markers. Probably just end up going with Copic. Splurge a little bit. Have I tried Tombow? I've only heard good things about them, but was wondering if you had any experience with them. No, I didn't even know Tombow made markers, actually. So that is actually news to me. But I think Tombow is a good brand, if I'm not mistaken. So they're a reputable brand. They should have decent quality markers. I've had some Tombow graphite pencils that I liked quite a bit, so you know, maybe their quality extends to their markers also. One secret that I can share with when it comes to markers is that the grays are your best friends. Like what I'm doing here is I'm taking, I did my base color with this bright red here, and as you can see it's completely different now. The bright red, I'm going over top of it with some of the grays. And it's letting me subtly add different values and kind of blending them out. Your light grays are also a good tool here for transition between your different values. And this is how you can get some of the darker colors, because I don't have a really dark red. I don't. This is my darkest red, and it's like super bright. So doing a few layers with the grays where it starts getting darker, and I put black here, and it's really hard to get that transition from the black to the dark red. So you use the grays and just a bunch of layering to get that transition the way that you need it. What is that color? 702. I didn't know they had anything other than markers. Oh, that is hilarious. I didn't know they had markers, and you didn't know they had anything other than markers. That is funny. Since you decided to cut your hair, will you have extra money to buy markers? Yeah, that's kind of true. When am I going to cut my hair? I am going to cut it after Inktober. Yeah, after Inktober is over, I'm going to chop them off. I think my wife has accepted it. I think she's accepted that I'm going to cut them off. It's been a long time since I've had short hair. Very long time. Started growing my hair out in 2011. So 7 years, and this is how long. I can't really show you. It's in between. It's like the lower of my ribs. Like that's my longest lock. Is down to the bottom of my ribs. So definitely the longest I've ever had. Longest hair I've ever had. When I was in high school, I had hair down to my shoulders for quite some time. But yeah, this exceeds that a lot, actually. A low-maintenance haircut means more money and time for art. Yeah, well, it's not going to be really low maintenance in the sense that I'm going to have to cut it once a week. I partially started letting my hair grow because I was sick of cutting it, because my hair grows ridiculously fast. It grows so fast, it's crazy. To just put that into perspective, I started growing my hair in 2011. I grew it for 1 year before I put locks in. That's all I had to do. It took 1 year for me to grow from military buzz cut to shoulder length. It took a year. That is not a lot of time. It grows really fast. So when I was in the military, I cut it once a week. I can do it myself though, so it's not that big of a deal. Yes, I am cutting it before I go visit the United States, before I go see my family. So it's gonna be a bit different for them because I visited them this past July, and of course I had these. So some of them that don't follow me on YouTube, I'm going to show up. My plane's going to land, and they're going to be looking for me. I'm going to walk up to them, and they won't recognize me. Lips are looking amazing. Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, I think it's just about done. If I had a light pinkish, 4, 8, 9. Grab a light pink here and do a little bit of subtlety on the highlights here. Sometimes you don't want your highlights to be just, you know, pure white. In this case, partially pure white is fine, but having a bit of a faded edge will help them look a bit more natural. So using a real light pink around some of the edges and just softens them a bit. I'll leave that there. Anna should get a hair clipper and learn to cut your hair. Yeah, I'll probably end up teaching her how I want it. I'll certainly have to show her how I want lined up and stuff, because that's gotta happen. But I'll be able to do a majority of the work, so you don't have to feel too bad for her. I'm thinking this bottom lip is ready for the final highlights. Actually, I think I might save the highlights. Yeah, I might save the highlights. This marker here, this is a bit dry. Yeah, this marker's running out, so I gotta change it out. This is 437. Man, it's such a nice color too. What a shame. 437. I'm looking at my color chart over here. I think I'll just trade it for 409. Yeah. When you are on vacation, what do you do about the live streams? Oh, so when I'm on vacation, it means that I'm on vacation. I think you kind of answered your own question there, Stacy. Just think about it for a second. It's called vacation. No, but seriously, to answer your question, what I usually do is double up on the live streams. Though most of the patrons that have been around for some time, they usually tell me to just go enjoy my vacation, and I don't have to worry about doing the double live streams, but I do it anyway. That's what I do. I just care about you guys so much. No, but you guys deserve it. That support me over on Patreon. I can't cut you short. Can't cut you short. That's just not the person I am. If I say, you know, I'm gonna do something, then I do it, and so that's what I normally end up doing for the patrons. Is either the week before I'll do like 2, or when I get back from vacation, I'll double up for a couple weeks or something like that. I think I've done as many as 3 in a week. And I always overcompensate. So, you know, usually I do 4, 5 live streams for Patreon in a month. But when I go on vacation, I kind of feel bad. So I end up doing like 10. I like just do 2 a week for the whole month. Your eraser broke in half. Well, that's no good. No, I get you, Stacy. Yeah, I get you. But yeah, I think I answered your question there. Hopefully I answered your question. I should have answered your question. Do some stippling on the tongue and create what are those called? Taste bud? Wow. Yeah, create that taste bud like texture. The color difference here is very subtle, but that's what you want. Sometimes with markers you just have to have all those in-between colors for them to look good. So when you're doing stuff that you want to look realistic, it is all about subtlety. That is the most important aspect to creating realism. The subtle shift in color, the subtle shifts in value, texture, all of that it's all about the subtlety. Do you ever use Prismacolored pencils? Actually, I use Prismacolored pencils more than all of the other pencils that I use. I have the full set of Luminance pencils, which back in the day cost me my left foot, but since then it has grown back. But even having some of the highest quality professional pencils that are made, I still lean very heavily on my 3 sets of Prismacolor pencils. I have 3 sets of Prismacolors. That's how much I love those pencils. I always say that you know, I get the question most often, like, what pencils do I recommend for someone that's wants to get into using colored pencils? I never hesitate with that question. It's always get the full set of Prismacolors. Just get them. Just get them. Why are you guys talking about ice cream? Where did I miss something here? I'm seeing a bunch of like ice cream flavors. You missed my question about using markers as a base and then using colored pencils. Do you do that? And does it come out okay? I want to try. Oh my goodness, do I. I love the combination of markers and colored pencils. I love it. I have several drawings that I've done in the past. You'll have to go back through my videos, but I've done several time-lapse drawings where I used where I used markers as like the base coloring, and then I used colored pencils over top. Actually, I did this here. This is markers and colored pencils. So I did all of the base coloring of everything here. The background is actually just markers, but I did all the like the green in the eyes, the red in the eyes, the orange down here. I did all of that with markers as a base color, and then I went right over top of it with colored pencils. I love the combination. This is actually a tutorial over on my Patreon page. This here is another one that I did. So I colored this mango. This is another Patreon tutorial, but I did the mango all in markers, and then I used colored pencils to kind of feather out the transition between the colors and all of that. So yeah, I love markers and colored pencils. Good question. Sorry I missed it the first time. Anything to be aware of? Yes, your paper choice. When you're using markers with colored pencils, you're gonna want to not use soft absorbent paper. You're gonna want to use something real smooth. The Strathmore Bristol plate. Strathmore Bristol plate paper. I have a link for it on my website for that paper because it's one of my all-time favorite papers. So that is paper that I can strongly recommend and suggest for that mixed medium of incorporating markers and colored pencils. Because I love the mixture. There's no other mediums that I mix actually. I don't do acrylic and oil. I don't do watercolors and colored pencils. I don't do watercolor pencils and wax-based colored pencils. I don't mix any mediums except for markers and colored pencils. I think that they are just made for one another. When you do a piece with graphite pencil, do you have a range of hardness you like to use? Do you have a certain one that for the darkest and lightest areas? So if I do a graphite, I actually just recently completed a graphite portrait tutorial. I don't have it hanging up anymore. I did have it hanging up on the wall here. There's a portrait tutorial that I did just recently over on Patreon. These graphite pencils here, these Mars Lumograph black pencils were given to me by a very awesome subscriber. He's also one of my Patreon students. And these pencils are fantastic. The 8B is like as close to black as you can get with graphite. It's fantastic looking. Gives you a really nice range of values. So when doing the darkest values with graphite, you're going to want to use the 8B or 6B, you know, the highest B you can reach for. And for general sketching, I like 2B. That's the pencil that I usually will use. It's the density of lead that I use in my mechanical pencils as well. 2B. The reason I use it is because it's soft enough. It's soft enough that it doesn't take a lot of pressure to show up on the paper, and it's easily erased. So it's like that in between, and yeah, my favorite density. I hate lower nose shadows because I don't want it to be mistaken for a Hitler stash. My advice, if you're struggling with the cast shadow from a nose, just make sure that the shadow underneath the tip of the nose is the right value. If you can get the right value under the tip of the nose, then the drop shadow will look natural. Don't you worry about that. Let's see. 437. Why do I have this color out? Oh. Where is 437? Did I lose a marker? I'm missing a color. I wonder if I made a mistake. Where's 436? Oh, that's the one that, yeah, that's the one that dried up. That's right. Let's see. Kind of 6. Need a bit of coloring to the tongue. The tongue is a bit too gray, so I need to bring in a bit of purple. About the graphite. Oh, you're responding. Thank you very much, Stacy. If anybody is interested in the project that we are currently working on over on Patreon, we are working on a dog portrait in colored pencil. I can show you a little preview of that. This is what we've done so far. Got the eyes and the nose and the tongue done, and next week, Thursday, we'll be continuing on that project and working on the rest of the fur on the head. Probably focusing around the snout and the forehead in between the eyes a bit. Alright, I think I can add probably a bit of brownish color. I need to work on that transition here. Not quite getting it as dark as I want. When I'm working with markers, the hardest thing that I have to deal with is the transitions in the dark colors. That's got to be the hardest part, working with markers. The dark colors are the ones that just, if they don't scare you to like add the dark color, they just are so hard to like blend out and get it looking the way that you intend. The other thing is the drying time with markers, because you always get a darker color when the marker's wet than when it's dry, so you have to like kind of wait and hold your breath and hope that you didn't make too big of a mistake. What kind of markers? So the markers that I'm using are Pantone Tria markers made by Letraset, and you can't buy them anymore. Well, except on eBay when somebody sells their old set. I guess I'm ready for the top lip now. Top lip, oh goodness, this one's not easy. This one is not going to be easy. The top lip has a lot more color changes. 479. Let's see here. I'm going to turn this. I don't want to turn it sideways. Let's see here. Here. I'm going to try to map out these colors here a little bit on the top lip. Am I using the right color? Okay, I am. 702. Okay, yeah, I'm using the right color. Crisis averted. I should just fill this in. Who was it that said that this was going to be a short stream? I don't think it's real short. I'm just now starting the top lip. I'm not done with the bottom lip either. I'm saving the last touches of highlight for the ending because it's the best part. Trying to work in these highlights here. Trying to sketch out where that subtle shift in color is before getting to my deep red. Is my wife sitting in the background? My wife is laying in the background. She's in bed. Add the lip reference. Is that one question? Wait. Oh, okay. I get what you're saying now. I totally missed that. I thought you were asking two separate questions, but you're asking if my wife is the lip reference. Oh, gosh. Wow. Yeah, I missed that one. I couldn't figure out why you LOL'd at the end. I was like, I don't get it. And did I miss something? And I did. I missed something real bad. Do. What is my favorite Inktober prompt so far? It might be this one. It might just be this one. Wait a minute. I kind of liked the swell one that I did. I liked that one. I assume you're asking like which one is my favorite so far. But I don't know. It's hard for me to say. All right, I think I got most of the color right there. Believe it or not, I'm actually coloring in the highlight. That's the highlight there. I gotta get the red. The right side is real dark, but maybe you should put in the description about the brand of markers and that they're no longer available. Or we could do shots every time that question is asked. Yeah, I thought about doing that. I thought about, putting the marker information in the description, but yeah, I just enjoy answering the question so much that I decided against it. Of course, I'm joking about that. Yeah, that would be a fun drinking game. I probably wouldn't last too long on the stream if we did play that game. Just so you know. I'm not exactly all that tolerant with alcohol. $7:02. Everyone keep distracting me, so yeah. Well, I mean, if you guys can come up with a question / topic that gets me ranting, you guys know that if you get me ranting, I'll forget that I'm drawing and I'll just go on forever and ever and ever. You just gotta find the right question. When these markers run out of ink, what markers will you replace them with? If these markers run out of ink, these markers, actually, I'm gonna tell you my deepest, darkest secret in the whole wide world right now. These markers are actually not filled with ink. Yeah, they're not filled with ink. What you're seeing coming out of these markers right now, you can't tell anybody this. Seriously. I'm being... Dang it, I can't do it. I was trying to say that I'm being dead serious, but I'm not, obviously. Gosh darn it. I had too much cider. I can't do it. I don't know what I'm gonna do, gosh darn it. Don't talk about that. Don't talk about my markers like that. I don't want to think about them running out. I was gonna say that they're not filled with ink. They're filled with my life source, and that if they run out, then I will cease to exist. I couldn't keep a straight face. I tried really hard, but I couldn't do it. I am sawing right now, and the stream keeps me interested. You're sawing. Oh, you're sewing. It's like, how are you sawing and hearing me? Have I read Harry Potter? Yes, I have. In fact, that's a fun topic. I hated the movies. They were so bad. They did not translate those into film good at all. Just wanted to make my opinion known there. Actually, I read Harry Potter for the first time with my lovely wife. We read the entire series together, and she had already read them, but I had never read them. Pretty well-known fact, if you've been following me for a while. When I first started dating my wife, we dated online. I was still in college at the time. at the University of Washington, and I didn't have time for a real girlfriend in person. Couldn't I couldn't have that commitment. Too much homework. But fortunately, I met this lovely young lady. She was pretty young at the time. She's getting pretty old now. Yeah, I don't help. I don't help her aging process very well. But when we started dating online, you know, we just had Skype and Facebook. That was the extent of our relationship, and so in order to foster a healthy relationship, we had to do things and have fun together. And one of those things that we did was we read Harry Potter. We read the entire Harry Potter series to each other over Skype. Sometimes she would read to me while I was working on homework, and sometimes I'd read to her until she fell asleep. Sometimes she would read to me till I fell asleep. I can't even say how many hours we spent together on Skype. We did everything on Skype together. No joke. We watched movies, we read books, we talked about life, we planned our future. I mean, we did everything on Skype. And yeah, read the entire Harry Potter series. We watched a ton of movies. What I would do watching movies was it was an interesting setup, but I was on Skype on my iPad, and what I would do is I would turn the camera. Kohanya, can you hold off on the coughing? I'm trying to be romantic. I'm trying to tell people about our super special bond.
Oh, continue, you.
Anyways, what was I talking about? What did you interrupted? Now my story's all broken up.
Ask people. I couldn't hear you.
I was on Skype on my iPad, and I would set it up in a way that would point at my TV, and I just play the movie on my TV, and she'd watch it through my iPad on her laptop, and that's how we would watch movies together. And thus date night was born. Now we go to the movies in person.
Movies aren't terrible. They're just not the same.
What time is it for us? It is 21:08.
It's bedtime.
Yeah, my wife says it's bedtime, but she's a bum. They hope that you feel better. Are you creeping on the chat?
I am right now.
Okay. Well, then I don't need to tell you what they said. She knows that you guys care.
I don't know yet because I didn't get to. The series of unfortunate events, I only watched it.
I think I don't think
I like it.
I never read it or watched it. The Lemony Snicket.
With what?
Jim Carrey. Yeah, I know that he played in it. I remember seeing the previews, but I never watched it. I have no idea what it's even about.
You didn't read Narnia, right?
No, I only watched the first movie.
The
It seemed
books are crusty and movies are crusty.
the movie was garbage. I only watched the first one. I don't know if they can hear you, so I'm kind of having a conversation with somebody they can't
Well,
hear.
I'm talking to you because you're here. I have such a lovely voice.
What time does Anna get up for work? I honestly don't know. I don't.
You always think.
Yeah, I'm always asleep. She's like
Such a bum husband.
she's like walking out the door, and I wake up, and she's like, "Bye, I'm leaving," and I'm like, "Bye." half asleep. She wakes up at different times every day because she has
No, I wake up the same.
her alarm clock set, and
Yeah, but
it goes off like 6 billion times before she finally gets up.
It doesn't bother you.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me, fortunately, because I don't ever hear it. I don't know how your alarm clock goes off 16 billion times and I never hear it.
It is once.
Yeah, I guess I've heard it a couple times, but like literally a couple times. You finished talking about how romantic you are to call your wife a bum. They're telling me I'm not romantic because I call you bum. I always call you bum.
You call
I call
everybody
I
bum,
I do.
Especially people that you love.
I call everybody bum.
Or your sister.
Everybody. My sister Cece, yeah, I call her bum. Bumosaurus. That's what I call my sister.
I was Bumzilla.
Yeah. My wife is Bumzilla. Or Mouthoponymous. Mouthoponymous. Mouthoponymous Rex if you're being extra mouthy.
You are always mouthy.
I am never mouthy.
You're just you. Mouth.
You're in a constant state of mouthiness. But I forgive you because you're so adorable.
Okay.
You know you're lucky.
I know I'm lucky. You're blind enough to think I'm cute.
I think the cider is drawing now. Sure, those shadows and highlights are back to front.
Talk louder. I can't talk louder. Burning out.
You can't be giggling and junk. You're so loud.
Just block. Just put my bed in your.
I have no idea what you just said. You can't talk
You
and
just
laugh.
have to say such things.
Drawing a Dementor, sucking color from a corset background. Oh, that's cool.
What am I reading? I can't see that.
You gotta scroll down.
I have things scrolled down. I only care about comments with my name. I celebrate it.
Yeah. You said you are not intolerant to alcohol. We in Mother Romania, that's funny. If you haven't drank at least once till 13, you get laughed at. I did not drink alcohol until I was like 22 or something like that. Never drank it before. And the first time I really drank it was in Thailand, where it's like legal for anybody strong enough to pick the bottle up. And yeah, that's about it. But I don't do it. I don't do it often. Yeah, not often at all.
I didn't get Perwa. You prefer Perwa, didn't you?
They don't have the pear.
They didn't have pear for you?
No, they didn't have pear.
You should boycott it.
Yeah, I should. The lips are superb. They look so realistic. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you think that they do. That's the goal. The goal is to convince you that they're realistic looking. Once I do the teeth, actually, now that I think about it, don't have much left to do. Once I finish the upper lip, I'll move on to the teeth. And after I finish the teeth, I'll do the last touch-up highlights, and that's actually going to be it. But I mean, I've been streaming for a little while, so hopefully you guys won't be too sad once I complete them. Oh, okay, Debbie, thank you so much for coming by and hanging out. Am I going to draw blood coming from the fangs? No, I am not. I thought about it, but I didn't. I ended up not really wanting to do that. I just wanted to keep them like this. I looked at several photos of like lips with the blood coming out and like the tongue, but I didn't like it as much. I kind of like just the fangs. Is it weird to find fangs just like subtly attractive? Is that a strange attraction? Kanye, I'm not asking you.
Well, I'm here too. I'm hearing a question, I want to answer, I'm doing it.
Well, answer in the chat.
I would have to log in and type and
Oh, poor you. Have to log into Facebook.
Well, erase me then, okay?
I can't erase
your
you.
cute little wife.
You are so dramatic.
Because I'm a woman.
You said it.
You always claim it. That's the reason, so I can hear it now.
Your friend has fangs? Oh, that's cool.
Are you attracted to her?
I was the one that said it.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if you meant it by liking.
Yeah, I find fangs oddly attractive.
Like teeth.
Just something about them.
Playing to realize this factors and be grateful.
About markers again. Do your Tria markers match the Pantone color chart? Honestly, I can't tell you if they do or not because I don't know. I don't really know a whole lot about the markers, unfortunately. I just know that I found them on eBay and I risked the purchase, and I could not have been more pleased with the outcome. I spent 140, I think. It's like 140 or something like that, close to that amount. If I don't describe them as better than Copic, then they're very, very close. Alright, time to do the fangs. Start off with the gray. So after I do the teeth here, I will grab my white gel pen and I will finish up the last touches of highlights. So if you guys have any last questions before I sign off, quickly type them in the chat and you might be able to hold on to me a little bit longer. You know, one thing with teeth, common error that I see is that people are afraid to go dark. They are too afraid to cover up that white, but in actuality, teeth, unless they have like a pure white highlight looking thing, kind of like what you see on the lips here, teeth are super non-white. They're very gray. They have a bit of brown in them sometimes. Subtle brown. Unless they have like really yellow teeth or something. But there's always like a touch of brown, touch of blue. What is my favorite Harry Potter book? Ooh, that's a good question. My favorite. What was my favorite book of the series? I think maybe, you know, I wasn't really a fan of the last couple books. I liked the Goblet of Fire quite a bit because Alabaster Moody was kind of an interesting character that they brought into the story. I say they, I don't even know the author's name. Thank you for that, J.K. Rowling. Yeah, it was a fun part of the story, in my opinion. That was one of my favorites. I did enjoy all of them though. But if you're making me choose one, I think I might have to go with that one. Ask me about politics. Probably don't want to do that. Brilliant pick. You going to do that as a teaching stream? Well, I mean, you watched me do it. I don't know how much. I don't know how much more of teaching I'd have to do for the lips. Kind of talked through my process throughout. I mean, when it comes to markers, you just got to have confidence in your color choice. This extends beyond markers, to be honest with you. But markers are very unforgiving. They're like ink, you know, you can't erase them. And you can't really cover them up like you can with paint, and colored pencils have a bit of leniency to them, and pastels have even more leniency. But with markers and paint and art in general, you have to have confidence in your color choice. Find the color, match the color, apply the color. That's really what it's all about. Now I'm going to add sprinkles of highlights here, and these lips are going to go from good to great with these last touches of highlights. I can't get the wet look. So the secret to getting the wet look is having the very strong contrast between the sharp white highlights and the other colors. So that's going to be what you need to focus on. The problem that I imagine you're having is a problem that a lot of people have, and that is you are afraid to apply a dark color to a subject that has bright highlights. And the thing that you have to do is get past that color fear and apply the color as it appears, as it truly appears. That is going to be the real secret to getting that wet look. Like, the tongue doesn't look wet right now, but watch what happens with these stark white highlights. The tongue will start to glisten with light, and it's that contrast between the white and the other dark colors. The key is that the colors are dark. The colors that I'm laying the white on top of are dark, and that difference in contrast is key to making that appear wet. There's this optical illusion. That you can probably Google image, and I don't know what you search for, but it's like a person's hand, right? It's just a photograph of a person's hand, but they took a paintbrush of white paint and they put like streaks of white paint on certain parts of their hand or their arm or their leg or foot or something. And when you look at the photograph, you can't tell whether or not their hand, foot, whatever, leg is like oiled up and it has that glistening highlight, or they just have paint on their hand. And that optical illusion is the same way that you create that glistening wet look to your work, is you have to have that stark contrast between the highlight and the rest of the drawing. So you just can't be afraid to apply those colors, because that's what makes all the difference. With this gel pen, you can lay some down and wipe it with your finger to dull it so it's not as bright. I'm going to even add a bit of highlight to the teeth. Don't really need to, but I figure why not. It'll keep me on the stream just ever so slightly longer. Have to keep practicing with markers. Yeah, markers, they're a unique challenge. The one thing that I like about markers is it forces you to apply the right color. And the color is in most cases, you know, the color is constant. That's the benefit of markers as opposed to paint. You know, you got to mix your paint, and you're never going to really be able to mix that exact color perfectly. So, markers has this benefit of being subtly constant, which is really helpful when it comes to applying the color. You just have to learn to apply them. Layering and mixing with markers it's just all about practice and having confidence. Wow, amazing. I thought it looked great before, but those last highlights, but it's even more realistic. Why do I touch it? Because I'm dulling it. So you can spread, this is a gel pen, so tap it with my finger to lift up some of the white. You can see it's on my finger so that it's not as bright in some of these areas where I just want a subtle highlight. But anyway, there's the lips. That's it. That's my Inktober prompt for Drain. And remember to put your Inktober prompt for today in the Unmasked Family Facebook page. I can't even talk right now. So that I can share it on tomorrow's stream. Vampire teeth have always confused me. Animal canines are the third tooth from the middle, while vampire teeth are the second from the middle. Yeah, while I was looking for a reference, I noticed that it actually changes. There's some depictions where it's the third tooth. You have the incisor. That's what people usually call human canines, is that incisor tooth. Yeah, I've noticed that sometimes it's right next to the two middle teeth, and then sometimes it's one over or two over or whatever. But I like this look. Yes, so that is going to be it for the stream. I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend, and I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up so that I know that you enjoyed it. It's always a pleasure hanging out with you guys. You make it so fun. You truly do. Other than that, what is tomorrow's prompt? Let me look that up for everybody real quick. Tomorrow's prompt is expensive. That's going to be a fun one. Anyways, look forward to seeing you guys create for the prompt today, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Peace.